how you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm great, man. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here, and I think what you're doing out here is awesome. And like I said, I couldn't be more excited to be here this morning.
Coach, I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything you're doing. So for those of you that don't know, I got AB Stokes here, head football coach at Bethel College. He does a lot more than that. He's a family man, a father, a husband, first and foremost, but he's a Christian. And he does some amazing things through his program. In Bethel College, we had this alumni deal not too long ago. And that was the first time I got to see personally do a little public speak. And it was real quick, right? Because there was a lot of activity going on. And you were in season.
Yeah, we had a game.
That's it. And so you are on overdrive, right?
Yes.
As a coach, man, on game day, getting pulled to do those, having to put those hats on. What does that feel like, man?
I'm grateful to be able to do it. You know, it's a blessing to be a full-time football coach at a college on any level. It's a blessing. Matter of fact, we always say that we have somebody's dream job. All us coaches say that up in the offices. So I look at it as a blessing that I'm asked to do things, whether it be game day. What most people don't know is I actually take naps on game day. I take about a 10-minute nap right before we go out for pregame. So
that's part of your routine to kind of center yourself.
Oh yeah,
and get ready
definitely.
for that.
And it eases the nerves and all that stuff. It's just like, hey, this is just another day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, you keep the main thing the main thing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, real quick, so we have a lot of personal connections. Crazy thing is I didn't know you personally from before, but we kind of crossed paths, and our years were a little different when you were in and out of Bethel. But we know a lot of the same people because of our community.
Yes.
And so that brotherhood there, the Thresher way, it's just amazing to see our community growing and thriving and then reaching the levels that it's reaching at this point in time. And for you and me in our community, we know it's not about the wins and losses, and those are really important to us too, because we're all competitive people. We wouldn't be here. But there's other things going on behind the scenes that a lot of us and most of us see it. We are appreciative of it. And to cast that light the way you're casting it it's pretty unbelievable. So you guys got a great squad. Thank you for all you're doing. And for that, can you go ahead and do me a favor and turn your light on?
Sure.
All right. Coach, thank you. You got your light on. So we want to let that shine. And we want to kind of tell the story of of AB Stokes. And where were you? Where were you as a child? Who were you? Because I want this community to get to know you, because I know you're just a dude like the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've been through extraordinary situations, and you've chosen to be an extraordinary person through that. And that's what gives you that air of confidence and of perseverance and of leadership that you have and carry, because you've earned and worn that. So what does that look like? Who was Tony as a kid, man? Tell me about you.
There we go, Tony again. Tony is definitely...
AB, sorry.
Tony Hoops is very influential in my life as well.
AB.
No, so as a kid, I grew up in the inner city of Chicago, on the west side. Austin area is what they call I guess you'd call the hub of my community. I grew up with really just my mom and my brother, and then I had a younger sister, later on in life. But my mom had a daughter, and then my grandparents were really influential in it. But growing up, my mom, she hadn't finished college. She was working a lot of jobs to make ends meet, and so my older brother, he's just a couple of years older than me. He was kind of like my guardian. He was the one who more so raised me.
Nice.
Well, obviously my mom raised me. I don't want to, my mom's gonna watch this. She did a fantastic job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But it was a lot of time spent with my brother, with my mom, trying to make things work. And my grandparents were a little bit older at that time, so we'd be with them, but my brother would be the main one supporting. And you know how it is. You're a bunch of kids. You're gonna find things to get into. And for me, I always thought that I would be smarter than everybody else. So I didn't want to do things to get in trouble and get caught. You know what I mean? So, but I was a fighter. I fought a lot. Growing up, I got beat up a lot because I was small. I'm still not very big right now today, but growing up, I was always the smallest person. you know, on the block in school. So, you know, growing up, it wasn't tough in a sense of not having a lot, because although I didn't know it. I remember a few times being really, really hungry. You know what I mean? Like really hungry. Like to the fact where when you eat, it almost comes right back up because you just, you know, you're trying to overcompensate.
Absolutely.
But as far as that, didn't pay much attention to that. My thing was I wanted to prove that, you know, I was valuable as a kid. I can remember that early on. I wanted to be valuable because I was, you know, the youngest boy. My grandparents had 17 kids. My mom's parents had 17 kids together.
Man.
And so I had a bunch of cousins as well, and I was the youngest. The youngest male cousins, and, you know, all of my older cousins, even my older brother, you know, they were into gang banging and selling drugs and things of that nature. I've seen a lot of them go in and out of prison. So, you know, like I said, I wanted to be smarter than those guys. I didn't want to get in trouble, but I wanted to prove that I was valuable.
Absolutely.
And so growing up, you know, again, I fought a lot, got beat up a lot, most of them by my older brother. But it was all about just trying to figure out how do I survive? How do I make it, being, you know, the youngest, being the smallest. And then also I knew that I wanted to try to make a lot of money. And that was it. I wanted to make a lot of money. So as a kid, outside of just fighting and trying to figure out ways to make money, that's really what, you know, my memories consist of. It's just a lot of fighting and a lot of trying to figure out ways to make money. We lived in this high rise. I used to help people move in and out of the building because they'd give me a couple dollars here and there, stuff like that.
Always on the hustle.
That was it, man. Just a hustler, man. So that's who I was as a kid, man. A fighting hustler, man.
And would you say that's all through middle school? And in high school, what did that look like? Middle school and high school?
So middle school, you know, middle school, I kind of took a, you know, even though I was fighting and trying to hustle in elementary school, I stayed on top of my grades. But in middle school is when I really I took a dip, trying to prove myself. You know what I mean? Again, wanting to have value. So trying to prove myself, I become semi-popular because of the way I grew up. You know, and become semi-popular, and then, you know, I got into wrestling. So I start winning some of those fights in middle school, so nobody really wanted to mess with me.
Well, you had hands, and then you started learning how to use them in a technical way.
Yes,
with wrestling. Yeah, that's dangerous.
Sure, for sure, yeah, for sure. And so, you know, I stopped going to school at times. Matter of fact, I almost failed the 7th grade, and my mom actually took me out of the school that I was in, and she sacrificed and put me in a private school for the end of my 7th grade and my 8th grade year, just to make sure that I would graduate, you know, promote to high school. And so when she made that move, you know, I still, you know, was trying to prove myself, and my grades still weren't the best. But I knew it was in me. You know, I still was a pretty bright kid. And but at that point, I'll be honest with you, Andy, I didn't think much mattered. You know, I had no idea that I could go to college. I didn't know if I would graduate high school. I mean, I'd already had older friends who'd already dropped out of high school. So it was one of those things where in middle school, it was just, you know, I was kind of just coasting to nothingness. You know what I mean? I was just coasting to nothing. And so then now high school's next, right? High school, I started out the beginning of my freshman year. Obviously, I played football. I played football in middle school. I started playing in the 7th grade. Okay. And
same for me.
I was because we talked about not being able to afford the youth teams. You know, and in Chicago, there were only a handful of youth teams in the city, so you had to go to the suburbs to actually play, and those were extremely expensive. No chance at playing in that. But so I started playing football in middle school for the club, the parks. It was La Follette Park is the name of the park that I played at, right there on the west side of Chicago, and I was pretty good. I'm being modest. I was really good. I was one of the best on the team. I'll be honest with you. So I get into high school, and I kind of think like, okay, maybe sports is an avenue. I can remember my freshman year, I went out for football. My school had 5,000 kids in it. We had 5 football teams from varsity to the second freshman team, and I was a backup on the second freshman team. You know, because I was small. I'm 5'2", 100 pounds, soaking wet.
And they got numbers, and all kinds.
All kinds. I mean, we've got freshmen who are 6'2".
Yep.
You know what I mean? 180 pounds, whatever the case may be. Here I am. So, I actually quit. I quit football, but I wanted to do something because at that point, I knew that if I went home, my brother was into, gang banging and things like that. I knew if I went home that it was nothing for me to do but gang bang, And so I quit and I decided I was going to join cross country. A lot of people don't know that. Joined the cross country team. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was track until we got to our first meet. I asked the coach, "Where's the track?" He said, "No, the course is right here." I'm like, the course? I was wondering why we just running around the building all day. Never practiced handoffs for relays or nothing like that. So I run. I come in about 86 out of 88 runners. And I remember riding back on the bus like, no, I'm never doing this again. So I quit that. I quit football. That's what people don't know. Who was AB Stokes in high school? Well, he started off as a quitter.
Love it. Bring it, coach.
Yeah, man. So I quit football, and then I quit cross country, and I went back to the football coach, and his name was Rick Alboy, and he was my mentor in high school. He became my mentor, and he was so honest with me. He told me, he said, "Listen, I was grateful that he let me come back out, but he told me, he said, you may never play another down this season. I want you to understand that." And I was okay with that. I just wanted to be, doing something. All right, so I did that, but then wrestling season rolled around, and Rick Alboy was actually the head wrestling coach. And now wrestling was my thing. I was the IKWF state champion as an 8th grader, and I'd done that the longest. So I knew I was going to be a varsity wrestler, go out, and he doesn't put me on varsity right away. Even though we don't have a guy in that spot, he tells me, no, all freshmen are going to wrestle JV the first half of the season. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, you know what I mean? But he really did grow me. So I go and I do that, end up starting on varsity all 4 years. And but what began to change in high school, because this is what it changed. That's just a little bit of background. But really what changed was there became vision, right? Like I told you, I was kind of floating on nothingness, so there was no purpose, just wandering basically. And in high school there became vision, like, hey, you can go to college, it may be affordable, right? You can use sports as an avenue to get there. So in high school I began to attach my being to athletics, right? Which that was a big mistake. And then athletics and then man, right? Athletics and man, because Rick Alboy was, that's what I had faith in,
right?
Was Rick Alboy and my ability to play football and wrestle.
So at that time, this individual was your example.
Yes.
That's what you were focused on.
That's what I was focused on, as a purpose, as a person. As a person.
You were looking at the person. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, coach.
And so what a lot of people don't know is, so I was a 4.0 student in high school. I was salutatorian in my class, and I got a full scholarship to Central Michigan University, and that's where I went out of high school.
You sound like a Thresher.
Yeah, I sound like a Thresher. Yeah. So I go to Central Michigan, and I'm a part of the football team there, red shirt, and but again, like I said, I didn't. The whole ideal of high school was get to college, right? So I get to college, and now it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna have this great life. It was like, I made it, I did it. Like I went off to college, and I didn't take my classes serious. Winded up getting into some trouble with my roommate that got us kicked off of campus. My mom was sick. Who at that point she was at home with my brother and my sister, who at that time I think my sister was 8 years old, and my brother was incarcerated. He got locked up, and so now my mom's at home with just my sister. She gets sick. She's in and out of the hospital. No one's there for my sister, right? And then on top of, so you throw all that, I'm failing classes. I'm off the football team at this point, kicked out of the dorms, basically homeless. My mom didn't know it.
Wow.
I'm living on my friend's couch. My brother's locked up. My mom's sick. And to put icing on the cake, I get a call from my girlfriend. She's pregnant.
Oh man, Coach.
Yeah. Now this is all, I went in July. All of this is hitting around October. So, you know, what else am I gonna do? I reverted back to my freshman year days and I quit. I left. You know what I mean? Which I look back on it now and I think I had to get me to where I was. And this was a huge turning point because I really lost faith at that point. I didn't believe in man anymore. Like I had some faith in man, but you know, I go home and what's everybody doing, man? They're talking about me. You know what I mean? I had teachers and other coaches, not Rick. Rick was just like, well, son, you know, like, you know, you just got to pick yourself up. You know, he was very supportive, but I had other coaches and other teachers telling, you know, students, my friends who I still would see, they're just a year younger than me. And, you know, I'm back home, I'm on the block, you know, telling them like, oh, I knew it. Like, I knew AB was going to fail out. I knew he wasn't any good. And man, it hurt. And so the only thing I began to put my focus was into, you know, my unborn child. I say, you know what? I'm going to be a really good father. I'm going to go. I'm going to get me a job. I'm going to work. I'm going to save up some money. And, you know, I'm going to take care of my child. I'm going to be a great father, right? That's what I began. I just said, you know what? Forget all this stuff. I'm just going to go and put my energy to being a great father. Got me a job downtown Chicago in the Marshall Fields building at the Walnut Room as a busboy, cleaning tables. I'll never forget. I was riding back home on the L train. It was about 2 weeks after I started working there. I got my check, had my check in my hand. I opened the envelope up and $103.71. And I mean, after taxes and all that stuff, $103.71. I'll never forget that. And I cried.
Yeah. Right
there on the train, like, you know, I'm helping my mom with bills, taking care of my sister, buying, you know, fending for myself with food and things like that. And I got this baby on the way, and I just worked my tail off for 2 weeks and made $103.71. And, you know, I ain't gonna lie, man, I had a lot of bad thoughts, you know, throughout those moments. And then here's another life change. This is, I had an aunt who was working out at Trinity International University, TIU, NAIA school right outside of Chicago. And she had been begging me to come and meet this coach, Andy Lambert. And I was kind of like, nah, if I'm going back to school, you know, I'm coming from Central Michigan. Like, I'm not going to TI who? That's what I called it. You know what I mean? And she's just like, hey, she worked in the cafeteria, and she would have his players come and clean the tables and open doors for people. They were always saying please and thank you. And she saw something different in his players. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And these are football. You know how football players they get bad reps sometimes. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? And so she was just like, no, this guy has something different. You know, this guy, I want you to come meet him because, man, his players, they're the most respectful thing. Like he's you know, basically, you know, mentoring these young men, like they're great people. And so I pushed it off for a while. But Andy, she called me when I was hungry. I was hungry, and she said, hey, come out here and I'll take you to dinner. I was hungry, you know what I mean? Yes, sir. So I went, and I'll never forget, I sat in his office with no intention of going to TIU. No intention. I was there for a meal, and that was it. And I was sitting in his office, and now nobody knew that my girlfriend was expected. No one, not even my mother. Matter of fact, my mother didn't even know until 2 days after she was born. That's how scared I was to tell her. Yeah. But anyway, so Andy, I'm sitting in his office across from him, similar to you and I, and he's just like, hey, I know where you're coming from. I know you can be a good player, but I don't care about that. You know, he was like, I can't promise you that you're going to come here and play. You got to work like everybody else. He said, but what I can promise you is this. If you come here, you will learn and you will grow. And when you leave, you'll leave with a degree. You'll leave a better husband someday. You'll leave a better father someday. You'll be a better person someday, a better employee, a better... all this stuff he's speaking into me, because it's like, nobody never told me that. You know, Rick Alboy never told me that. Like, that no man in my life, no one had ever told me, hey, come here and I'm gonna make you a better person.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm gonna make you a better father. And I'm sitting here like, that's what I wanna be. I wanna be a better father. Like, and so I left there. I remember telling my aunt, like, I'm going to that school. She was excited, like, yes, I'm good. Yes, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. So, you know, I decided to go to Trinity International University, and it was the best decision of my life. The best decision of my life, probably similar to you in Bethel, right?
100%.
And now,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Andy was there. I played for him for a year, and then he ended up going to Sterling. And now I stayed in Chicago for a year without him, for a season without him, because I had a community there. You know, my brothers were there, and the new coach came in, and he was kind of similar the first year because the whole staff had stayed. But then that next spring, all of those guys left, and he stayed, and the culture began to shift. And it was like, no, I'm getting out of here. And that's exactly what I did. And I left and went to Sterling to finish my last 2 years with Andy. And just what a difference. And although, you know, there was a lot of growing after that, that's really, you know, I look at that as a catalyst moment that sparked, you know, the passion to mentor, the passion to grow in Christ, like the passion to love people differently and things of that nature. Because, like I said, man, I know for a fact, like I had nothing. I was going nowhere fast. I do not know what my life would be like if God hadn't put my, you know, Andy Lambert in front of my aunt, and my aunt convinced me to go, you know, to meet him. Yep. So,
and
you know,
one encounter with one human being can change so much.
Yeah, it can.
Ain't that amazing?
Absolutely.
You know, and there's something you said right there that really just struck a nerve with me. Is the difference between a leadership style and the same program, but when you put different leaders in play, what an impact. The way you said a lot without saying much by saying, you said to me a whole bunch without saying much, to keep it respectful. And it's not on any one individual or any one thing. It's just, there are thousands of programs out there.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands. If you really want to get real with it, if you look at all the programs, right? I mean, Raylor Foundation is another one, right? That's why I want to hook up with you and build those bridges, because what you're doing in your program is so different than what somebody can do 30 miles down the road with another program. When you have a certain coach and a certain intentionality about transformational coaching versus a transactional coaching style.
Yes.
You know, a transformational crockpot relationship community versus a microwave community that what's the next year, what the numbers look like now.
Yes.
Without any foreseen vision other than the next 12 months.
Yeah.
You know, the coaches at Bethel that brought me in, one of them's my best friends to today. One of my best friends that stood in my wedding, right? Didn't know him before that. The dude gave me an opportunity that completely changed my path in my life. And so Bethel was that phone call that completely changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And because he's a transformational person, I can call him today, and we're going to have a podcast soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I know he'll be excited about seeing this. Ben Benavides, I love you, brother.
Yeah.
And, you know he has guys that come down to still look at your program, and we're going to try to find the right fit. But the cool thing about what you're doing with our Thresher Brotherhood and our programs out there is you're direct and honest. You're upfront about what we are and what we stand for and what we're about. And you can promise a life change if they were willing to do the work. But it's a transformational thing, because we want to know these guys. Like, we've got one of my buddies, Philip Baron, who comes from my neighborhood.
Yeah.
We have the same coaching lineage growing up, went to the same middle schools. His son's coming up here. You don't think I'm going to be right behind him?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a different brotherhood.
Yeah, for
Those
sure,
are lifelong relationships. I want nothing but success for my bros out there, and for his son, and for his son's son,
Yes.
and the daughters and the wives and the things that we get to do through this program.
Yes.
And I see you stewarding that big vision in a different way than I've seen in a really long time. And I just want to thank you for that. But that's not a little thing when you talk about a change of leadership and the intentionality of the coaching styles that you bring to our community through what you're doing.
Yes.
Man, I'm excited about our future, brother.
Yes, sir.
So, hey, man, tell me a little bit about where you're at. The dudes coming in right now, recruiting. What does all that look like for you right now?
Oh man, it's we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up 2023. We've got we believe it's a great class, not only in players, but quality of just people. You know what I mean? I think we're at 30 that we're bringing in right now. We're trying to keep that number of total roster under 115. That's intentional. We don't want to bring in too many guys, and then people get lost in the shuffle. And everyone we bring in, we believe there's a path for them to play, right? So, but right now, also we're focusing on the guys, because it's a fine line between focusing too much on recruiting and neglecting the guys that you have. And I spend a lot of time with our guys on campus. Recruiting is a big part of college football, and you have to do it, like you say, it's re-upping right now. As we're starting now, it's on to 2024.
Yep.
Pretty much after this month. We're trying to wrap up all 2023 this month. We're in a good spot. We believe we're going to be able to do it. But sometimes, you get so caught up in the next. But we're big on development at Bethel, so we do a lot of developmental things. We do a lot with our guys. Matter of fact, this is one of their first weekends off where we're not either serving on campus or hosting recruits. And I still have a recruit that's coming, but it's not, it's impromptu. It wasn't a scheduled recruit visit, weekly visit for a group. But this is the first weekend off in about four weeks or so. So our guys are probably enjoying it. We gave them Monday off too, because the Super Bowl is Sunday.
That's cool.
But we spend a lot of time too. So where we're at right now is, trying to finish up this 2023 class with a few more. Obviously get started on 24s, but a large portion of my time goes to continue to pour into the guys we have on campus and not neglect them, both physically and spiritually. So.
And there's another part of that I just want to open this can of worms real quick between the two of us. We got in Newton right now at USD 373. We've got the Teacher of the Year in the state here in our community, and he's doing this presentation. He's one of our Thresher alumni. He's a Bethel guy.
Awesome.
Doing great things with education in this community and throughout the state. He's got this presentation about social media, and we kind of talked before a little bit about the fast pace of life, right? And how bombarded this generation is, because we got a lot of people that crap on this generation. And it's not fair. Because there's not apples to apples. We're trying to put apples to apples, or we're trying to make an orange an apple. And we're not seeing the difference between that. And there's still a lot of ego from the way we got brought up. We kind of pushed around that a little bit, which is like, oh, well, you don't drink water too much because that shows you're weak. You know what I mean? During practice and it's 105 degrees.
You want to spit my water out. I mean? Hey, I heard that several times. You're drinking water's for the weak.
Yeah, what? It's like, man, you got to suck it up. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? But we just grew up with some different type of people, and not all bad, but not all good. And one of the things that me and you are real open about, and we just discussed a tiny bit today, and I'm looking forward to growing our relationship and really packing this into the Railer Foundation and the Thresher way and the Railer way, and figuring out how our community can really understand the bigger picture here with mental health. And to the point of Brian's giving this presentation about social media, and it's an amazing presentation about distractions, but when you understand the algorithms behind that and the speed at which this information comes in and the manipulation behind it in a digital format right in front of your face to capture your attention, the algorithms are built to keep you coming back and looking, because that's how that system makes money. And they are masters at it. And the average consumer does not understand that's what's happening. And our our guys and gals right now, our young adults and our kids are growing up in this era where they're just bombarded.
Yep.
And mental health is huge.
Yes, it is.
And we need to be okay to speak about that as men of men, as leader of leaders, and let our people know that it's okay. You need to come talk to us.
Yes.
You need to share with us. You're not alone. And we don't understand fully what everybody's going through, but some of us have ideas of what that could be like. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's okay. It's not vulnerability. It's not weakness. But mental health is probably something that you guys take seriously within your organization, I'm sure.
Yes.
Because that transition point as a freshman coming into college, I mean, do you have any special things that you guys do for those younger guys coming in? Like Cam, he'll be coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Cam Baudon, I'm going to be right behind him with whatever he needs. I'm looking forward to watching him grow up and watching him be stewarded and then go on to steward others one day, just like his dad's doing out there at South San, which is my backyard. You know? And then one of his assistant coaches is a brother of ours as well. I mean, it's just cool to see our coaching lineage out in San Antonio doing its thing, right?
Yes.
But that pipeline came right through Bethel College.
I know. That's what,
You know what I mean?
we hear it. We hear
Thousands
it.
of lives are being changed with this situation, Coach. Thousands, brother.
That's awesome.
How cool is that?
That's real cool.
Mental health.
That's real cool.
Can we unpack some of that for me? And
So, to answer that question, it's we don't have like a set, hey, this is what we do, but our number one priority is faith, right? And we say, so what's that mean? Because you hear football coaches give the mantra like, oh, faith, family, football, all stuff like that, but it really sounds cool. We open it up and say, hey, this is what our faith factor is. I'm a man of faith, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm the head football coach of the program, and what faith being our number one priority means is that the way that you will be treated from myself and our coaching staff is going to be a reflection of our faith and what we believe. And, we believe in Jesus and we want to love with the love of Christ. So it's really about opening up these relationships. I mean, our office doors are always open. Always open. I have more meetings with our students about life than I do way more than about football. Way more
That's
meetings
awesome.
with these guys about life. And the ideal is create this comfort zone. That's the whole idea. So that would be the plan, is to create this comfort zone. And so much so that we even have other coaches. I've got a younger coach, Cam Harrison. He does a great job. But he and I have been in communication about making him like the director of, he calls it like player personnel, but it's more so like player mental health, almost. So, but being available and knowing, hey, this is the coach you go and you talk to if you're having issues with coaches. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, because people have issues with us, on the team. I've had several times, but what I want them to understand is we invited, like, come up, come talk to us about things, and not to make it about issues about us, but if you can come and talk to me about a problem you have with me, and I'm going to be open to listen to you, and I'm going to be reflective, and I'm not just going to assume that I'm right because I'm the head football coach.
yes, sir.
Then you come and talk to me about anything. You know what I mean? And so that's why we invited, and so that's the whole ideal is to create a comfort zone, and we feel like obviously it's not going to be perfect. But we and I say we as a coaching staff, we feel as if we have a really good, a wide range of genuine connections across the board on our football team, between any coach. Like Coach Grider, he has kind of a group of guys that he's really, really strongly connected with that I know for a fact they're going to come up and talk to him maybe before they come talk to me. I've got my group. Coach Markham, Coach Denton, all the coaches kind of have their group of guys that feel comfortable coming and talk to them. And we have had mental health conversations. We have given guys days off. I have several texts on my phone from young men who text me saying, hey, Coach, I'm not doing well. I'm not in a good space mentally. And they know that it's going to be met with or received well. Like, it's not going to be, suck it up, man, you need to do this. Now, granted, we do, we do encourage our guys to get out of it.
Absolutely.
We don't, it's not just like, hey, I done missed a week of school. It's like, hey, we get it. And then we push them to Jill hoops on campus. At times it's like, hey, if this, this is really affecting you, you need to go and see someone because, life is going to go on. right?
Absolutely.
Life is going to keep moving, and you have to learn how to navigate it. And the taboo thing is to hear mental health and to just to coddle or to oh, I don't want to touch that. All right, just take as long as
or the opposite end of bury it.
Or bury it.
Right.
Or bury
the
it.
one side or the other. But you're trying to find that nucleus.
Yeah, the ground where it's like, okay, we want to support you, but we want to do what we can on our part. We want to find different avenues to help you through it. I think that's kind of where we're at as a program, and our guys knowing that, hopefully it helps them be more open about it.
Well, the fact that you're pioneering and navigating that in a football program of all things, because you know how we can be sometimes.
Oh yeah,
we eat our own sometimes.
Yes,
and there's a time and place for that when you're in the locker room and we do our thing, right? In our little world, when we're going through our little traditions and our little micro traditions that we all have. You form those pretty quick with your brothers when you're in there. And I love all that. You even have your own as a coach, right? You're still finding those little things that help set you up and trigger those reactions that are going to create routine for you to be able to perform at the levels that, because you know yourself. But that self-awareness is huge. And so you're teaching that at even another level than what we got to experience, right? Because in our generation, we talked, it was like, you suck it up. And so there's only so much sucking up you can do without having long-term effects, with not learning how to deal with things. And then turning it to resentment and anger and all those things that we learn through our faith of how to deal with. Is sticking to that as the number one healer of all things, right? And then from there, we move out into the world, right? With those tools, and then hopefully we're doing it right. But well, Coach, man, is there one thing you want to leave with the Thresher Nation, to our community? One little tidbit of advice you got for us, or maybe a vision that you have for the program moving forward? Anything I can help you push out into the world right now? Take a couple minutes and do your thing, man.
Well, I tell you what. Again, I'm just grateful that you had me on. I'm excited about your vision, and I want to be a part of that in any way that I can. As far as what we have to leave, we're just grateful for all the support that we get from the community. I ask that that this community continues to support us, and allow us to be a resource as well, for things that are going on in the community. Because at the end of the day, man, I just want to provide opportunities for our young men to grow and give back and mentor others. As we pour into them, continue to pour into others, and that's really what it's about. A lot of people will look at Bethel and say, yeah, we've been successful on the football field, and I'll share this. We look at success as a byproduct, not as a destination. At Bethel, and so it's one of those things where we're gonna always try to do the right things, the things that we feel will lead us to success. And when I say success, I'm not talking about specifically on the football field. That's encompassed in it. I'm talking about in life. We're gonna continue to do what we believe is gonna lead to that, regardless of the outcomes we get on the field. Because at the end of the day, playing days are gone, right? We ain't played in a long time. Ain't played in a long time, but you look at you now, man, very successful man, I'd say definitely I would look at my life as a success, not just from where I come from, but man, I've been married for over 20 years. I married that young lady, by the way, which Andy Lambert was influential in that as well. But we've been rocking and rolling, man, my best friend. We're going to continue to do the things that we believe are the right things to do, and what's leading that is Christ. So,
awesome, Coach. Well, thank you for all you do in our community. Thank you for shining your light and being one of those individuals that I could look up to, and every time I see you, I smile and just know that spirit that you carry is so bright, it's so strong, and it's so influential. I want a piece of that. So I thank you for letting me hook my little wagon to you and continue to be behind you and just learn from you. Be able to push people to your message and to your program, and let's build this bridge and let's make something unique that's ours. And I know we're doing that, and I appreciate the brotherhood, and thank you for being here, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
See you, brother.